All right. Hello, everybody. Zaxter99 back here with not another first impressions review. This is me coding my next game on Steam, which I call CyberBrick. So if anybody's wondering, yes, up here it's messed up. This is basically where you build your room, where I build my levels for the game. And this is resized once you start the game so that it's not hidden by the bricks or the outside wall. So this is your classic brick breaker game, guys. And the reason I'm not going to be able to launch it today, as I hoped to do when I put up a trailer like a month ago or whatever, was because I wasn't happy with my code and the way the ball was bouncing off the bricks. Now, 95% of the time, the ball was bouncing off the bricks perfectly, and it would work great. However, there was a few random times where I was so frustrated because it didn't seem like no matter how I did my code, my ball would either phase through a brick or it would like get caught in a brick bouncing a whole bunch of times. And while it would end up, being okay because it would end up bouncing, getting through the brick and just continuing, eventually it'd break free and all that. And, it's something that a lot of people would probably overlook. But I'm getting to the point now with these 2D games I'm, as my girlfriend says, I'm becoming a perfectionist. And I want it to behave exactly like it should. I want to make one of the better brick breakers on Steam. That's my goal. And to do that, I have to make sure the balls bounce perfectly, make sure they're not bouncing through bricks or stuff like that. So while I've been tackling this problem, and I've spent dozens of hours trying to figure this out over the past couple of months. I remember going back to when I made Prison Ball back in 2019. And I remember I spent, I don't even know how many hours facing the same problem. So I don't have a problem when the ball bounces off the walls, no problem. It's when there's so many bricks like this and the ball's moving really fast, using code to make it behave properly can sometimes be really tricky. And I remember trying to fix this and going up 10 different ways to try to handle it in Prison Ball, and I never did get it perfect in Prison Ball. I finally just accepted it and said, you know what? Every once in a while, it's going to kind of phase through a brick and glitch out, whatever. People won't really notice, and I don't think anybody really noticed. But finally, last night, one of the different things I tried myself by messing around with it actually worked, and I was like, I had that aha moment. The reason I'm making this video, guys, is for other indie developers or those of you out there who are thinking about becoming an indie developer and maybe, developing your first game or whatever. I don't care if you're making a 3D game in the Unreal Engine. I don't care if you're making a little game in Construct or a little 2D game like this, whatever. You are bound to have little frustrating problems or little things that you can't seem to figure out and you get stuck on. But I am telling you, there's no greater feeling than when you finally get that aha moment and you try something you hadn't thought of before and you finally figure it out. It is such a good feeling. Last night when I figured this out and I finally got it right, I had that Yahoo moment. I just wanted to fucking say woohoo like at the top of my lungs because I was so fucking happy. And you will feel that as an indie developer, especially like the bigger the problem is, the more hours it takes you to figure out, the longer it takes you to figure out, the greater the feeling of woohoo is once you finally do figure it out. It's kind of like, a puzzle game and a puzzle, and you just keep at it, you keep at it, you keep at it. And finally you figure it out, right? That light comes on and it is really satisfying. And it's way more satisfying as an indie developer. So I encourage you guys as indie developers to quit searching the asset stores or quit searching for just random code online to fix your problems. Do what I do. Figure out how to tackle the problem yourself, right? Figure it out. Think ahead. Think like the computer does. Think one step at a time. Think, okay, if I'm a ball and I go up here, what do I need to do to make this bounce properly and not get stuck in the brick or, end up bouncing two times on the brick or whatever, right? So that's one thing also that I just kind of found interesting about, and I did try to cheat myself. I tried to look at tutorials for Brick Breaker games, and there's dozens of them out there. A lot of them are on YouTube. But one thing I noticed with all these tutorials out there and all the forums that I did search, because I remember searching this stuff on Prison Ball back in 2019, I think there are a few people that really do know how to make it work right, but those people aren't giving up the answer. They're not showing people the correct way to handle a ball on these bricks properly, at least in Game Maker, at least in the tutorials. In all the tutorials, if you guys are familiar with Game Maker at all, in the tutorials, they always use a built-in function of Game Maker called Move Bounce All. And if you know Game Maker, if you've used Game Maker at all, you know that making your objects solid and relying on the Move Bounce All command is going to definitely cause you problems at some point. The ball is going to get stuck in. It's going to cause way more problems than probably your code if you actually try to handle it yourself and do it right. So all the tutorials just use the move bounce all command, and they know that that is not going to be a reliable solution for this kind of a game. Like I guarantee you, anybody that knows Game Maker and knows it well knows you have to do it yourself to do it right. But I'm just telling you guys that moment of satisfaction, and I can't I can't even begin to express how fucking satisfying that is when you figure this shit out. No matter what kind of a game it is, like I said, no matter what engine it is, you're going to come across these little problems and you're going to get stuck. And you just got to be persistent. Yeah, you might want to take a break. I'm not telling you to stay up for 24 hours straight trying to figure it out, but take breaks, and maybe the moment, maybe an idea will hit you while you're, in the bathroom or while you're driving to work or whatever. Maybe even while you wake up in your sleep and be like, oh, let me write that down. Let me try this. But at some point, you're going to have that aha moment and you're going to try it and it's going to actually fucking work and you're going to feel like $1,000,000. But anyway, guys, I want to go ahead and show you to test my game, guys. What I did is I decided to go ahead and test my game by putting a wall down at the bottom and making 10 balls bounce around the screen at the maximum speed the balls can go in my game. And you will see that none of these balls are bouncing through bricks or phasing through bricks or getting stuck in bricks or anything like that. And I think you guys can see that this actually looks really, really good if you see this. So if you're here and you don't have that bottom barrier, like that's a power up you're actually going to have. I put it in here for testing purposes. This barrier, when you pick it up as a power up, will only last like 15 or 20 seconds. But I put it in here for testing purposes to keep my balls in play, so I can make sure that my game is working perfectly. But as you guys can see, if you guys have a lot of balls on the screen, in my upcoming CyberBrick game, you can see that it is now finally working, and you're not seeing any balls phase through the bricks or get stuck in the bricks. It's being handled perfectly, even with a maximum number of balls at maximum speed. So this is just something I hope encourages you guys as indie developers, or one of the indie developers, if you're thinking about doing it, to don't give up, keep at it. Don't just try to go out there and look for an easy solution. Don't take the easy way out. So with Game Maker, for example, that easy way out would be using the move bounce all command. Don't just rely on the easy way out. Do it right. Keep at it. You will figure it out. I promise you that. But this is just a success story, and one of the many success stories I've had over the years with my games. CyberBrick, guys, now that I got this big hurdle, tackled with my game, I can move on to the unique ideas that I have for my game that's going to make my game stand out from all the other brick makers out there, and I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. So look for CyberBrick to hopefully come out maybe sometime next month now, because I really want to get in this unique idea I have with earning money and being able to gamble on certain, different aspects of the game. Will you bet, how much will you bet? Will you bet $50, which would pay 10 to 1, that you can clear a level, with just one ball, stuff like that. So this will be like little bets that you can actually place with the money that you earn in game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. And watch for CyberBrick to launch on Steam. Make sure you go over to Steam and wishlist it right now. This has been Zaxxer9, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Peace.